How you doing, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Mech Warrior Online with Scout. In today's video, we're going to take a look at another veteran of, well, both tabletop, Battletech, and Mech Warrior Online, the Jagermech 65-ton heavy mech, which you can see here in front of you, done up in a House Davian Armed Forces of the Federated Suns paint scheme. Now, the Jagermech is kind of interesting because it's almost the exact opposite of the Stalker. The Stalker was a mech that I used fairly often in tabletop Battletech and was very confident in, but was a little leery of it in Mech Warrior Online because of just how it was implemented and some of the interesting things that we have here in the game. This is the exact opposite. This is a mech that when it came out, I was pretty confident that you could do well with it here in Mech Warrior Online, but you couldn't pay me money to run a Jagermech in a game of classic Battletech on the tabletop. So it's really kind of interesting in that way. And it's a mech that I've actually been playing for a long time, but I've never really done a video on it because I've always been kind of bouncing around with the next shiny thing, you know, the Project Phoenix mechs and the Warhammer and the Marauder and all that. And this has just kind of been in the background, solidly performing the whole time. And I thought it was about time I brought you guys a video on the Jagermech. So what I'm going to try to do is, like I've done with some of the other mechs, I'm going to actually try to show you guys 3 different builds on 3 different variants of the Jagermech, so that hopefully you'll find something that you like here, because this is actually a pretty solid mech here in Mech Warrior Online, and I'm real happy with how it's been implemented in the game. So we're going to start with the DD variant of the Jagermech, which is what you're seeing here, which is a House Davian variant of the Jagermech, which is why this is painted as it is. And what really struck me about this variant is if you check it out in the store, it's got an ultra autocannon jam reduction of -20%, as well as a range bonus. And that kind of inspired that build for this mech, because as you guys know, I really like my rifleman. The only problem I have with the rifleman is I'd really like to have ultra autocannons and large lasers on it, but I can't find a way to do that on a 60-ton mech that doesn't make compromises that I'm not willing to do. So I thought to myself, well, why don't I try that on a Jagermech, which is 5 tons heavier, and hopefully I'll have the weight to do that. And that's why this is the first Jagermech I picked up. So if we take a look at this in the mech lab, you guys can see here that's exactly what I've done. I got 2 ultra autocannon 5s, 1 in each arm. This has got 6 ballistic hard points, 3 in each arm. So a lot of times you'll see it with like 6 machine guns and something else, or a lot of people just give it up and go with dual Gauss rifles on this. But I actually went with the dual UAC 5s on this. And then I also mounted the 2 large lasers that we talked about. Again, inspired by the rifleman, but unfortunately the energy hard points in this are in the torso, so you don't get that nice high mounting part for your large lasers. And that's kind of the only downside to this mech. I've got 5.5 tons of ammunition. I do have a half ton in the center torso, which is kind of a gamble, but I'm running an XL200 in order to keep my speed up to 64.8 kph. And honestly, I find that if they get through the armor in the center torso, I was pretty much dead anyway, so I don't think that's such a big concern. Now, since I'm going to try to show you guys 3 different builds on 3 different mechs, I want to get into the skills real quick, and then we're going to go straight to some gameplay in the DD Jagermech. So let's take a look at the skill tree. And as you guys can see, it's pretty par for the course what you'd expect. I went from the Enhanced Ultra Autocannon perk down there on the right side of the skill tree, which reduces the time that your autocannon spins jammed if you do jam it up. I did not pick up the second one though, because I was actually more concerned with magazine capacity. I've only run this thing out of ammo once, but if you have a really good game, that can happen. So that's why I picked up the 2 points in magazine capacity and went ahead and passed on that Enhanced Ultra Autocannon perk, the second one. Other than that, I concentrated on velocity, heat generation, as well as laser duration, because the large lasers are a big part of my firepower. Moving on to the survivability tree, you can see that I've gone all in on survivability because I am using ultra autocannons and lasers, so face time is a significant consideration in this build, as well as the fact that the geometry of the Jagermech is not the greatest. It's real easy to pick out its side torsos, and most Jagermechs do run XL builds. So I wanted to have as much armor and survivability as I could, so that's why I've invested so many points here. I have put 9 points into the mobility tree, and here it's kind of interesting. You'll notice I've done a real squirrely thing here. That's because I've tried to focus on torso pitch. Remember that my 2 large lasers are actually mounted in the torso, And if you've seen a lot of MechWarrior Online footage, you'll notice that most mechs can't actually aim their torso weapons up or down very far at all. So if you're on, say, Alpine Peaks or Caustic Valley, or any kind of a mech where you have, or map rather, where you have a lot of verticality to the terrain where it's up and down, if you don't have torso pitch, you're going to have a big problem in your mech. And so this is one of the first builds that I've got where I decided, you know what, let's throw some points into torso pitch and see if that helps. And you'd actually be surprised what a difference that makes. So if you do have a mech that's got a lot of torso mounted weapons, or if you mount all your weapons in the torso, I encourage you, if you have not done so already, to go back in and try to find some points that you can put into the mobility tree to pick up a couple of degrees of torso pitch, and you'd be surprised how much that would help you out. We skipped jump jets and operations. Obviously, I did put 9 points into sensors to get my 60% radar deprivation, and we've gone with our standard 6 points in the auxiliary tree for 2 cool shots and 1 artillery strike. So that's it for the build. That's my Jagermech 6DD variant. Let's take this thing out on the battlefield, and I'll show you guys what this thing is capable of.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
So you guys want a little history on the Jagermech, I bet, right? Yeah, of course you do. Let's see, what can I tell you guys about the Jagermech? Well, it was built by Callan Industries, which is the same company that built the Rifleman. And the story goes that Callan realized that they had a pretty successful mech with the Rifleman, despite the fact that it actually had 3 pretty significant drawbacks. 1, it was prone to overheating because of the large lasers. 2, it was very, very lightly armored. And 3, it was prone to running out of ammunition. So they set about to build a mech that was like the Rifleman, but tried to correct those issues. And the primary ways they did that was they chose a heavier mech, really, a 65-ton chassis to build on. And they replaced the large lasers with AC-2s. And the idea was that those would not build as nearly as much heat, obviously, as large lasers, and that would resolve the overheating issue. Now, that being said,
artillery strike online.
Target spotted.
The autocannons and their attendant ammunition come with whole other issues, namely weight. So at the end of the day,
New
they
target
really resolved
acquired.
the armor issue. The Jagermech was still grossly
Target spotted.
under-armored for a mech of its weight. And then it really didn't have the same firepower, look at this guy out here, as the Rifleman. So at the end of the day, the fluff would argue that the Jagermech was a successful mech.
Base is being captured.
Successful than the Rifleman. When the truth is, yeah,
Artillery
I would
strike
prefer to have the
online.
Rifleman, really. But you know, such as it is. It used the same Garrett targeting and tracking system that the Rifleman used to make it an extremely successful anti-aircraft mech.
Target spotted.
And really, that's kind of all there is to tell. It goes on to have a pretty solid history. Interestingly, only in the militaries
Target
of House
spotted.
Davian and House Lau. Probably because of where it was built, the Jagermech really didn't spread to the other houses. There were a few in House Steiner and a few in House Merrick, but primarily this was an AFFS.
New
Target
target
spotted.
acquired.
Target spotted.
Now, interestingly, there's no mention of this at all
Target
in House
spotted.
Carita and the DCMS, which is just fine by me because I don't like the thing anyway. But
New target
yeah,
acquired.
Target
that
spotted.
probably had some. The history of the Jagermech in terms of
Artillery
performance
strike
is,
online.
how would you say this? It's okay. There are some stories where Jagermechs turned the tide of battle because they were able to engage at long range with their opponents. But there are also stories where the Jagermech flat fell on its face. And actually, that's the ones they point out in the TRO. The Capellan Hussars were actually using this thing in the War of Tang in 2890. And they were trying to put down some privateers. And a guy named Captain Garth had a lance of Jagermechs, as well as some additional
Target
forces.
spotted.
New
So what he
target
did is
acquired.
he chased the privateers into a valley. They were in primarily light and medium mechs. And then he had an entire lance of Jagermechs at the foot and the mouth of the valley. And the idea was simply chase them into the valley and then just beat them to death with the long-range firepower of the Jagermechs. Unfortunately, what happened is they chased them into the valley, and then rather than just freezing or panicking, they saw the lance of Jagermechs and basically said, "Get them!" and they
Target
pounced on the
spotted.
Jagermechs, beat the shit out of them, and then escaped through the valley. And that was kind of the last time that the Capellans actually used the Jagermech without significance.
Target acquired.
So yeah, kind of a mixed bag, I think, in terms of history. Now, in this game here, we've got a problem because
Target
our
spotted.
assault mechs are not coming with us. So I've moved up here to try to get them to come up with me, and I'm gonna wait here. Looks like we finally got
Target
some guys.
spotted.
I really would rather be on the
Target
other
spotted.
side, back where I was, providing fire support from across the river, but our assault mechs are just not moving up, so I thought maybe we came with
Target spotted.
New target acquired.
Pound shit out of this water.
Heat level critical.
Get out of the way.
Warning, incoming missile.
That's not the broader, that's a guy back there behind me who's
Warning,
attacking.
Target spotted.
incoming missile. Artillery strike
Let's see if I can
online.
hit this guy and get him to
Warning,
go away.
incoming missile.
We have got to get our assault mechs in there. They're starting to lag. There's one out of forward opening right there. You can see it. It's
Warning, incoming missile.
I think guys need to get out of this opening.
Artillery strike online.
He's down. You just need to keep pushing.
Target spotted.
Get up on the beach here. You got to get these guys out of here so we can continue.
Target acquired. Heat
Get up.
level critical.
There you go.
Target spotted.
Target destroyed.
Fortunately, my friends
Target
have
spotted.
chased them off. Looks like we got guys right here on
Target
the high ground,
acquired.
So we'll see if we can make them go away.
Target
Shit,
spotted.
this crap.
Ultra autocannon ammo at 25%. Heat level critical.
Now, we need to get to some cover. I've been leading the charge for too long, and a mech that's not really meant to do that.
New target acquired.
Ooh, hello.
Target spotted.
Autocannons keep jamming. Kind of unfortunate. Oh, great. Now they're both jammed.
New target acquired.
Try to push
Artillery
off
strike
this.
online.
Now I've got his attention. Trying to take off the side torso and XL check him.
Target spotted.
Get somebody else.
Target destroyed.
Yep. XL.
New target acquired.
Target spotted.
Warning, incoming missile. Right torso critical damage.
Left side, I think.
New target acquired.
Oh shit. Yeah. I should just kept it on my left side.
Target destroyed. Warning, incoming missile. Left torso critical damage.
Target spotted.
Between us and them, and then go around this way.
Target acquired.
I don't know what they're doing behind me. They need to hurry up and move up. We're about to run out of ammo. I have not run this thing out of ammo very often.
Ultra autocannon ammo depleted.
That's bad news.
Left arm critical
These guys are
damage.
so
Large
beat up.
laser destroyed.
Oh shit. I
Center
lost
torso
Target
critical
spotted.
I need
damage.
to die here.
Ultra autocannon destroyed. Right
Oh,
arm.
artillery strike. Oh, that's embarrassing. Killed by an artillery strike, but one kill, 812 points of damage. It's
Target
pretty
acquired.
respectable, I think. What are you guys doing back here?
Target spotted.
And of course, right after I died, they friggin' mopped up those wounded mechs over there. Finally, they're making a dog's dinner out of this. I don't know why they don't just go clean this guy up. Dude, you're at 91%. Just kick his ass. Dropped on
Target destroyed.
Forward. Oh, that's a nice guy. Don't matter. So that's game, and I feel like we did really well in our Jagermech. We got some good support fire across the river early. 1 kill, 11 assists. We touched everybody. 2 KMDs, 812 points of damage. Yeah, pretty solid performance out of our DD model Jagermech right there. I'm real happy with that. And yeah, pretty good game in the Jagermech. So there you go, guys. Pretty solid game in the DD variant of the Jagermech, if I do say so myself. And I really do like this mech. I've actually got a lot of footage in it, several games. This thing performs pretty solidly as long as you have a halfway decent game. Obviously, you're going to get those stomps every once in a while. But moving on, I want to show you guys a second variant of the Jagermech that I do like to play from time to time. And this one's a little out there, which is why I wanted to show it to you. Let's take a look at the hero mech, the Jagermech Firebrand. So here you go, guys. Here is the Firebrand, which you can see in its From Hell paint scheme, which I really, really like. Little devils there, one way there, From Hell right there. Fire and flames on. I really love the way this mech looks, even though I'm not usually a fan of the Jagermech. And what appealed to me about this mech is it tries to do what over the years in the fluff they've tried to do several times with both the Rifleman and the Jagermech. It tries to combine PPCs and autocannons in a support mech in the 60-65 ton range, which is really, really difficult to do successfully. In the stock build for this, they do it with PPCs and autocannon 2s, and this thing has got some quirks that do help the PPCs be a little bit more effective on the battlefield. But I wasn't real happy with that because I'm not real happy with how 2 AC2s perform. Really, I think you need 3 or 4 of them to get real benefits out of the AC2s. So I rebuilt this, and I did make the compromises that I really didn't want to do, but I had to do to make it work. So let's jump in the mech lab and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So here you go, guys. This is my build for the Firebrand, and as you can see, I'm using every last little bit of space and weight in this mech in order to make this work. I've gone with an XL225 first of all, because that's the compromise that I had to make. I had to compromise somewhere to get the weight to go with dual PPCs and dual AC5s in the 65-ton mech. I wasn't going to do it with armor, and so I had no choice. I had to do it with speed. So this thing only moves at 56 kph, which is kind of a drawback. There are several games where I've gotten jumped on because I could not get out of the spawn fast enough. And as you guys know, there's several maps where it spawns one lance away from the other two. And invariably, the 2 lances will just start the NASCAR, circle right, and leave you out there on your own to try to catch up with them. And at 56 kilometers an hour, you're going to have a problem. So that is a drawback for this mech. Other than that, you'll note that I've got 4 tons of ammo for my 2 autocannons, which is just enough usually. But every once in a while, again, if you have a real great game, you can run yourself out of ammunition. We've got our dual PPCs. We've got 9 total heat seeks, 2 external there. And I do have 1 ton designated to an inner sphere targeting computer because that helps the velocity of both the PPCs and the AC5s. It's a pretty solid build. It won't get all that hot on you unless you start firing the autocannons and the PPCs rapidly in succession without taking a break. You will need a cool shot, so don't let that heat management of 1.49 fool you. But other than the speed, this is a really solid build that I've had particular success with if you can get a team that will actually stand and fight instead of a NASCAR. If they start NASCARing on you, you're going to have some issues trying to keep up. So let's take a look at the skills. You guys can see here, unsurprisingly, I focused on the firepower tree for this build, 38 total points in the firepower tree. Interestingly, though, I haven't gone for any of the real perks. I've focused solely on range, cooldown, and heat generation because those are the biggest challenges you're going to have in this mech. And I picked up velocity where I could to help make it a little easier to lead shots at long range. I did pick up the 1 magazine perk to help me a little bit with the ammo, but other than that, range, velocity, cooldown, and heat gen were my focus here in the firepower tree. I picked up a lot in the survival tree, 18 points all down the left side. I would have picked up some more, honestly, if I could, but remember that we're running 2 AC5s and 2 PPCs, which is going to get pretty hot. So unlike the previous build, I had to put a lot more into the operations tree, which you can see here. I've gone for full heat containment and full cool run on this build in order to help me keep the firepower going as the mech starts to heat up. Other than that, we've got our 60% radar deprivation, pretty standard, and again, our standard 6 points in the auxiliary tree for 2 cool shots and artillery strike. So that is the build for the Jagermech Firebrand, and I'm actually really pleased with how this mech runs. Let's go out to the battlefield and let me show you guys what this mech can do.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
All right.
This is command. Eliminate all enemies, no matter the cost.
Frozen City Classic. Snow, unfortunately, so we're going to have to use thermals here. Obviously, the first thing I'm concerned about is a C3 rush. That would not be good. I'm going to go ahead and tell the team. Oh, excuse me. And I think what we're going to do is get up here on this hill, because it allows me to look the gap at C3 and also allows me to look into the city on the right. So I can kind of cover,
Spotted.
pretty sure I saw somebody there. I can
Target
kind of cover
acquired.
both directions. That's a Timber Wolf. Oh, missed with that PPC shot.
Warning,
And he didn't back up.
incoming missile.
Didn't miss it that time. He already
Target
lost half
spotted.
his torso. Wow, that was an expensive peak right there.
Target destroyed.
Excuse me.
Artillery strike online.
Somebody else back there. Ah, the PPC's missed.
Target
Target
acquired.
spotted.
What else we got going on here? So that's a little flea back there. Just put up a UAV. Somebody else peeking.
Affirmative.
And I think we'll take down that UAV for our team. That should help a little bit.
Artillery strike
There we go.
online.
And we have to start paying attention to the assaults pushing on the right over here.
New target
Yeah, I know
acquired.
you're over there. There's a blood asp. I let him too
Target
much.
spotted. Need assistance.
Just beat him up. And
Artillery strike
what if we put an
online.
RD strike right there?
Artillery strike activated.
Let's see if that
New
gets
target
anybody.
acquired.
Yeah. Kind of concerned about these yahoos over here.
New target
Oh yeah,
acquired.
getting good hits on that artillery strike. And let's
Target
see.
spotted.
There's a Mad Cat off to the left. That guy there. Can we get this Mad Cat? Now, I'm gonna head and go down until he finds somebody better to shoot at. What about this guy?
New
Oh, yeah.
target acquired.
I put him down.
25% of the enemies are
He's not looking at us anymore.
Affirmative.
Get that Mad Cat some more.
Target spotted.
That looks like a Black
New
Knight.
target
The enemies are
acquired.
half depleted. Keep pushing.
We're gonna have to, go over here to this Marauder.
New target acquired.
Target
Marauder
spotted.
2, I said. I almost said Mark 2. Man, can I just stand still and hammer this guy? Are they not even gonna shoot at me?
Heat level critical.
This guy's just getting beat to hell and gone. The team's really doing a fantastic job. They put
Target
several mechs
destroyed.
down early, and that enables us to just sit here
New
and
target
just wail
acquired.
on guys in support of them.
Target destroyed.
Not much for that guy.
New target
assistance.
acquired.
Look at this. There's nothing this poor guy can do.
Affirmative. Target spotted.
He's got to keep the feet lined up.
Heat level critical.
And can we get him?
Target
No.
destroyed.
Clean up the
Well, that's another KMDD. Here comes that K2 we were shooting at earlier.
Autocannon ammo at
Oh, just right over his
25%.
head there. And he's done. Almost out of autocannon ammo,
New
but
target acquired.
Target
10 to
spotted.
1, don't think it's going to matter here.
Target destroyed.
Uh-oh. I think I actually hit my Atlas right in the right arm there. Sorry if I did. I thought I was on target, and then I realized the way he was angled, his arm might be sticking out there, so hopefully I didn't hit him, but I may have. Where's this last guy at here? He's not disconnected, so he's got to be here somewhere.
Need assistance.
Oh, somebody calling
Affirmative.
for help. There they are right there. Low signal, yeah, he's definitely over there. Light mech, maybe?
Target
Target
spotted.
acquired.
No, Thanatos. What's a Thanatos doing? Wait, I wonder if he was trying to circle around and get me. He kind of really wants to play the same way I do, but he may have heard that I was over there and been going around to get me. I don't know. Or maybe he was just trying to avoid people altogether. Who knows? Don't know.
Target destroyed.
Not going to get over there in time, but pretty perfect game, really, for a fire support Jagermech. The team played really well. They didn't NASCAR. They just held their ground. knocked some people down early, and that allowed us to just sit on the high ground to wail on people. Unfortunately, we did hit the Atlas, 10 points of team damage there, but 8 assists, 2 KMDD, 778 points of damage. Pretty good performance for the Firebrand there, and that's really your ideal game. That's what you're looking for. Really glad this didn't turn into a NASCAR, and that was really what enabled us to exceed. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty solid game in the Jagermech Firebrand. And again, this is a mech that you can have some great games with. You can also have some bad games too, though, if your team starts the NASCAR. So keep that in mind if you do decide to give this particular build a try. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at one last Jagermech that I really do enjoy running. This is probably my most favorite of the 3 Jagermechs that I run. And here it is right here, the Jagermech 6S. Now the Jagermech 6S has a blanket ballistic velocity and ballistic cooldown bonus. So there are a lot of things you can do with this build. I took my inspiration from actually an old Catapult K2 build. Back in the day, a lot of people would run the Catapult with 2 ballistics as its primary weapons rather than the energy hardpoints up in the arms, because a lot of people very early on in MWO identified if you see a K2, shoot the ears off of it. That'll be its main weapons. So a lot of people will go with dual LB10Xs, dual AC10s, or even dual Gauss rifles in a 65-ton mech, and they would do it in that K2 because those hard points are nestled into the torso and they're very hard to identify. A lot of people would shoot your ears off thinking they were disarming you when in fact they were not. The problem with that, though, is like we talked about, you don't have a lot of flexibility in torso-mounted weapons. So I decided to take that concept and apply it to this Jagermech 6S because you do have nice blanket ballistic bonuses like we talked about, as well as nice high-mounted hardpoints in your arms, which offer you a lot of flexibility. So diving into the Mech Lab, you can see here that I've decided to go with dual AC-10s for this build. AC-10s, I think, are fantastic weapons in MechWarrior Online, and they are grossly underrated. You would be really, really surprised what you can do with an AC-10, particularly 2 of them, and particularly when you have strong quirks for them like you do here in the Jagermech 6S. So again, 1 AC-10 in each arm. I have 5.5 tons of ammunition for this mech, which I think is more than enough. And then that's backed up with 4 medium lasers, 2 in each torso. Again, we have 2 heat sinks, 1 in each torso. And it's just a really, really well-rounded build. And in the other 2 builds that I showed you, whereas they're more happy being at medium to long range and they don't really like to get close, this mech here is very, very happy at medium range. It doesn't want to shoot long range too much because you don't have really that much range with your AC-10s. But if you let this mech sit and pound away at you at medium range, you will regret it. And if the fight gets close, 2 AC-10s and 4 medium lasers will work just fine at point blank range. So this is kind of a little more well-rounded, although a little less range than the other 2 Jagermechs I showed you guys, which gives it a really nice different feeling if you still want to play Jagermech but want to do something a little bit different. Now, if we take a look at the skill tree, the first thing you'll notice is I don't even have this thing mastered yet because honestly, I think it performs just fine. Like I've never really needed skills, so I haven't really put a whole lot of time and effort into the skill tree. I have gone down the firepower tree. You can see again, you'll notice I'm focusing on velocity and cooldown to try and help those autocannons do even better than they already do. I will eventually branch out this way and pick up the other 2 laser duration perks to help my medium lasers. But honestly, I think the focus should be on those AC-10. So I may or may not do that depending on how the rest of my skill points shake out. Because the AC-10s are going to be your primary damage source. We'll at least go down the left side of the survivability tree. You can see here I've got 51 out of 91 points in. So I got plenty of points to at least pick up the left side of that survivability tree. I have picked up already max cool run and max heat containment because that enables you to just keep pounding away when a lot of mechs would need to back up and cool down. You can continue to put out the damage if you invest those points. So it enables you to fight your way out of bad situations. I have picked up my 60% radar deprivation as well as my standard 2 cool shots and 1 artillery strike in this mech. So that's how I'm running currently, and I think this mech really does great. So let's go ahead and take this thing out on the battlefield, and I'll show you guys what this very simple build is capable of, and I think you're going to be surprised.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Fleet command coming in. Capture the target area and engage any hostiles.
Can I tell you guys, I hate this map. I really do. I hate this map. Two reasons. One, I always spawn on this side. Every single time. Very, very, very rarely do I get the other spawn. I think in the last like month I've gotten the other spawn once. So that's one reason I hate it, because I think this side is a little less advantageous than the other. The other reason I hate it is because I always spawn on this side, my team will incessantly run up to the corner there at Delta 5 and just stall. And they sit there and they make bad trades with the entire enemy team. They refuse to push around that corner, and they just sit there until the other team finally just pushes
Artillery
through the
strike
tunnel and
online.
comes out behind them all and kills 2 mechs, and then they act shocked like they have no idea where they came from. It's just, oh my god, it's frustrating. So we'll see how this goes, but I suspect it's going to go the same way. Now, you can try to tell people watch the tunnel, but I don't know what it is. Apparently, no one likes me. No one ever listens to anything I say. You try to go into the tunnel yourself, you're just asking to get murdered. So yeah.
We're a quarter of the way there.
What I'm gonna do
Keep
is
it
kind
up.
of pull back and go behind one of these buildings here and just kind of see how this develops for a minute. We actually have guys around the corner though, but not our assault mechs who are just hanging out in the city. And it's domination. I don't know. Goodness. There. Maybe that'll get the point across. Well, I may as well go support the medians who are at least trying to look around the corner. I am debating going in there, but yeah, I still think that's death.
They've taken down Beta.
Maybe this Kodiak will actually go, and I'll support him. Why are they taking down? Oh, we actually are a little bit ahead on caps. Well, the cap.
Need assistance.
Yeah. Don't go, dude. You're the only one.
Affirmative.
Target
I'm
acquired.
gonna have to go help him.
Target spotted.
Warning, incoming
Here's where the
missile.
high mounts make this better than a K2 catapult built the same way. I still ended up taking a couple of shots though. Do I want to peek this guy again? He's all PPCs, so if you could get within 180, he's probably going to be hot. 180, 90 rather. He's probably going to be, yeah, he shut himself down right there. Let's just keep wailing on him. We're going to ignore that guy that went by. Hopefully the Kodiak will occupy him. I want to keep pushing this Kaiju and not let him get away.
New target acquired.
We got the kill, but I didn't expect there to be a damn Fafner behind him. No, I'm gonna have to get out of here now. I stood there and took it for a minute because I thought somebody would follow up, but that ain't happening. That goddamn pole blocked my shot.
Warning, incoming
There's my
missile.
Kodiak. I was gonna say where to go. He's gone around to fight the Madcap Mark II. There's an
Warning,
asshole
incoming
on the
missile.
island flinging
Right
LRMs.
torso, critical damage.
Right
Warning,
torso's
incoming
already
missile.
open.
Target spotted.
But that Madcap Mark II ain't looking so hot. He definitely wants me for some reason. He's ignoring the Kodiak.
Artillery strike.
That guy
online.
really wants me. I
Target
don't know
spotted.
what his
New
problem
target
is.
acquired.
Ooh, Sun Spider. Yeah, you just realized you went the wrong way. Look out! Knockout.
New target acquired.
Take that, dude. Not really doing anything at this range. I just want to back him up. I actually got that little shit. I don't know what that is. Maybe a
Center
Raven,
torso,
something.
critical
Ow.
damage.
We need to try to get these assault mechs out from behind here. I'm going to duck in here because it'll break line of sight from that guy out there on the island that has a hard
New
on for me.
target acquired.
And get cheesy little shots like
Target
this. Ooh,
destroyed.
picked up the kill
New
on the
target
Madcap Mark II.
acquired.
Let's see if we can get this Marauder now that there's somebody else out here for that guy to shoot at other than just me.
Target destroyed.
He got
New
wrecked.
target acquired.
Timberwolf. I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna kick his ass. I'm about tired of this Timberwolf. This is really a silly play. You really shouldn't be on the mountain at all, particularly when it's domination. That's really stupid. And you shouldn't chase retards who are out here because you're just pulling the fight away
New
from the
target
domination circle.
acquired.
But I think we've
Target
got this in
spotted.
hand, and I'm pretty annoyed at this guy. I'm gonna chase this cicada away. Let's see if he'll pop up right over here. See, this is why it's important that you mark targets, because even when they disappear from the minimap, you can still see the square that you put on them moving for a little bit. So we're just gonna keep stalking this guy. Hope he pops up over here. And when we're done with him, we're gonna get that mad cat. There we
New
go.
target acquired.
Hi, remember me? He went back behind the hill. That guy should be there. He is. There's the cicada.
Heat sink destroyed.
Oh, how did that not kill him?
Medium laser destroyed.
Lost the medium laser too.
Target destroyed.
Alright, so there he goes.
Autocannon ammo at 25%.
Come here, Timberwolf.
Target acquired.
I want to have a word with you.
Target destroyed.
Eat shit. That guy really annoyed me.
Target acquired.
Let's see. See, now this is why it was dumb to come all the way out here, because there's still plenty of mechs over here, like 3, and now we have to walk all the way. There he is. I see the guy, actually. He's right in between the buildings there. See him? There. 2 points of damage.
New
I
target
shouldn't have bothered with
acquired.
the medium lasers. Can we lead him enough? Bing!
Target destroyed.
Now see, I might have got that kill if I hadn't come all the way out here for the Timberwolf. But hey, I did get the kill on the Timberwolf, so it all works out.
We've destroyed target Alpha.
One mech left. Where is he? A light? Hiding over there in the city, maybe? No, he's in the circle somewhere. It must be in the tunnel. I think we can get up right here. Oh, there he is. Oh, it's an
Target
assault, too.
acquired.
Supernova. Wait for me, I'm coming. Let him come out. Let him come
Target
out.
destroyed.
Aww. Oh, well. Oh, let's see how that was. I feel like it was a pretty strong game.
Achievements on the surface.
Let's see what we did. Hello, scoreboard. Any day now. There we go. 4 kills, 4 assists, 2 solo kills, 2 KMDDs, 818 points of damage, 7 components destroyed. Yeah. I think that just goes to show you right there just how devastatingly effective dual AC-10s can be, particularly when you have strong quirks for them. That's a really good game in the Jagermech. So hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a fun game. So there you have it, guys. Pretty solid game, I think, in my Jagermech 6S. I got to say, this is probably my favorite of the 3 Jagermechs that I run. It's not necessarily the most fun, but it performs consistently well, as opposed to the other 2, which can have some highs and some lows. You're always going to do, I think, fairly well in this mech, and it's fairly forgiving and easy to work with. So if you're going to try just one of the 3, I recommend you try this one here. And you can see here I've done it up in a Capellan scheme. I forgot to mention that because, as we talked about, the Jagermech was actually more of a House Davy and House Lau mech than it was anything else. And I don't have a lot of Capellan mechs, actually, so I thought I'd paint this up in a Capellan scheme. But there you go. So I realized I didn't give you guys a good look at this thing last time around. So that's going to do it for the Jagermech, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'm really happy with how they implemented this. They took a mech that I just would not play at all in tabletop and turned it into a very solid performer here in MechWarrior Online. So that's it for today's. I think I'm going to call this video a wrap, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, please consider leaving a like and a comment in the section down below. It's always good to hear from you guys. And other than that, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.